Hi guys, Allison here, the Bored Housewife. Thank you so much for joining me for another week's episode of The Bored Housewife. This week, the title is The Game of Life, and I named it that because very much like the board game that I got the name from, this episode is going to talk about a few things that are very important, right? Because life has so many different ups and downs, unexpected things, things that we plan and go really well, things that we plan and don't go well. There are just so many different ways that this all pans out for us, right? And we're constantly just trying to figure it out. So there is an aspect of our lives that kind of is like a game a little bit, and if you want to look like if you want to look at it that way. So I want to talk about specifically personal growth, and I think what kind of makes the game a little easier is when we try to work on ourselves a little bit better and just, constantly trying to be better people, learning and experiencing things, learning from those experiences, trying to continue to better ourselves and grow and all those wonderful positive things, right? But the thing with personal growth, and the thing that I think is a hard pill to swallow, is that you're going to have to do hard things. And I think that's where, when people get stuck in ruts, or they might have a kind of woe is me outlook on life, like, oh well, this is just my life and this is where I'm stuck at. They're not willing to put in the hard work to do things that are hard. So we're going to, I know I've kind of talked about this before, but I just had some personal things in my life, and I just also don't, I haven't really dedicated a whole episode to this concept. So I kind of wanted to just get into that a little bit more today, and I think it'll be interesting, and I'll share my personal kind of experiences to help drive some of my points home if any of you are going through something similar. So I also wanted to ask, if you are enjoying these episodes, please share with a friend. I would love to build our community, and so that would be really awesome. You can also check out the link in the description, and it'll take you to a bunch of fun stuff that is The Bored Housewife. So please grab your beverage of choice. So today I am drinking this beverage. It is called Calpis. Okay? Calpis. It is a Japanese beverage. My lady who does my waxing told me about it. So I had actually seen it before, but I didn't know what it was. So basically, it's not cow piss, because when I first said it to my husband, he was like, oh my God, I thought for sure you were saying cow piss. No, calpis, okay? And basically, it's like a drink that's 100 years old, I guess. It's a concentrate, so they mix it with water, or I mixed it with club soda because that's what she recommended me doing. I think you can mix it with other things if you like. But it's like a way to get calcium. It's extracted lactate or something like that from milk, and it's kind of fermented. So it's a probiotic. The Japanese love it, and I thought I'd give it a try. I'm trying to cut out caffeine in my life right now. We're doing a body positivity episode next week, and I will talk a lot about some things that I've been working on, not only mentally, but then some stuff like this. I've been trying to incorporate more nutritious things into my diet to just help me feel better. But yeah, so anyways, this is kind of a weird drink, but it's good. It tastes like it's kind of citrusy, so it's a little different, but it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, anyways, so grab your beverage of choice for whatever time of day that would be for you, that would be fitting for you, and cheers, guys. Let's have some fun. So I mentioned that I am actually trying to incorporate some new stuff in my life and just get on a more healthier track, I guess, and specifically cutting out caffeine. I hope to be able to incorporate coffee here and there at some point, but right now, because I did not know how addicted to caffeine I was, I've just completely cut it out. But what my point of saying that is when I start something new, I'm one of those that's like, oh, super gun ho on it, and like I need to be perfect at it immediately. So when I first started cooking, like really cooking for my husband and I would get frustrated because I would try these recipes and they might be too difficult for me, or if it didn't turn out perfectly, I felt like this isn't going to happen for me. So I'm one of those that I put a lot of pressure on myself to do things right away. So like this new kind of different kind of path I'm taking with some of the things that I want to consume and not consume, I want to be perfect at it right away. But I'm trying to remind myself right now that this is all a journey and you don't figure everything out overnight. So, like, when I was cooking, and like that one to me really stands out personally because it was such a struggle in the beginning. And it wasn't like my meals were horrible, but it was just, really kind of more simple. And I just, did my best. I did however well I could at that time. And then as time has gone along, I've tried more difficult things and I've gotten so much more comfortable in the kitchen. There are things still though that I struggle at. Like I am so slow at chopping. I am not good at cutting vegetables, and that's what takes me the longest in the kitchen is like the prep work. If I could figure out how to chop like those chefs do, my life would be so much better time management wise. But I'm just not there yet. It freaks me out, and I hope maybe one day, but not today. So we're getting there. But where I've come from is so far. And so I try to remind myself that because, what I used to do, which was basically nothing to what I can do today, is like miles. And like in the 4 years that I've really been, cooking like this, had I thought 4 years ago I would be cooking some of the things that I do now, I wouldn't. I would have been like amazed at what I could do. So it's like when we're trying to implement change into our life and when we're trying to do new things that are hard, that's kind of the first point I want to make because you're not going to be perfect at it right away. It is going to take so much time. And like we see a lot of stuff on social media and everything where you see these people and their fun transformation videos of, maybe learning a new skill or losing weight. And those videos are really kind of cool and inspiring to watch, but it does show a little piece of what they've done, but it also is happening, in a matter of seconds. And so you might not realize that like it took years for this person to get there, or even if they do say that it took me years to get here, that can be really overwhelming. So I think when we are trying to do stuff that's hard, it's really important to just kind of focus on the day-to-day aspect and just, try a little bit. Like hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better and a little bit better. Same with like working out and stuff. Whenever I have like taken a really long break from working out and I start working out again, it's like, certain weight that I used to lift no problem feels really heavy, and that feels really discouraging again. But I know that, like, within a matter of weeks, in a matter of months, in a matter of a year, all of that is going to change. And that weight might actually feel a little lighter. So it's just, all of this takes time. And when we want to have some personal growth and have, these positive changes in our life, we have to realize that time is a huge factor in consistency in what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. There is a sound that is viral right now, or it was for a little bit at least on TikTok, and it's some guy talking about how when you're poor, you have to like put in your like own labor, like manual labor to get things done. So a lot of times people will add the sound to them making something or refurnishing something or doing yard work, housework, stuff like that. And basically the point of it is like you have to like when you can't afford to like hire like a professional to do something, sometimes you have to push yourself to do it if you want nice things. That was kind of the point of the post. If you want nice things and you're poor, you have to like you have to figure it out for yourself, right? But I think that post like even if you don't want nice things, like sometimes it's really cool just figuring things out for ourselves, and we don't push ourselves to do that anymore because it is so easy to pick up a phone and call someone to help us. And if it's something that's like electrical or something that you might need like some sort of real experience with, like of course that's when you call those people. But sometimes that is what's kind of fun about picking up a little project or deciding that you want to do something with your backyard. Yeah, it might be easier to call somebody, but sometimes it is, nice to try at least. I do not have a green thumb at all. I am horrible with plants. I have killed succulents. I didn't know you could kill them. Um, and yeah, I keep trying. I had some plants when we were in Alabama. I did not do them when we got out here because I don't really know what I want to do with our little outdoor space yet. And I just did not feel inspired this year to do it. But that doesn't mean that I don't ever want to do it again. I love the idea of like having fresh fruit and vegetables and stuff in my yard. But it is just gardening is hard, and it's a science, right? And there is a skill attached to it. And I just, and I think with each climate and different place that you live, you gotta like, and depending on the seasons too, right? Some years it might be a little rainier, some years it might not be, some years it might be a little colder, whatever. All that's gonna affect like your growing. And just the more you get into it and the more you learn every time, it definitely gets a little easier. But with that being said, like it's something that's really challenging for me. But when when the fruit does bear on the plants, it's just really fun to be like eating something that you grew. And so when we do want certain things, maybe take yourself out of your comfort zone and try some things on your own. I, sit around a lot on my cell phone and or watching dumb TV shows, and it's like I could be using that time so much better, trying to improve my life. And not that sitting on social media or sitting on your phone looking at things or watching a show are bad, because they're definitely not. Sometimes we just want the mindless, zoned out time. But when it's how like I guess you got to figure out for yourself like how much is too much of that. And I personally think that I do too much of that stuff, and I could definitely use my time a lot better, and I think a lot of us probably feel that way. But it's hard to put yourself in new scenarios and try different things. It's a lot easier to just continue to sit on your butt and not do anything. So I just, when there's certain things in your life, like I don't know, I just liked that one sound because it's like, yeah, like there is no reason why you can't have nice things and do stuff for yourself. Yeah, it would be a lot easier to have someone else do it for you, but it's actually a great opportunity to find some growth. And then that got me thinking about just other things too. When I used to be kind of messy, and to some people's expectations, or I don't know what word I'm looking for, but anyways, they might still think I am messy. I think I'm actually really relatively clean. I keep a lot of my stuff picked up now and organized. And one thing I was getting tired of always having like a mess around. And so I Googled how to be cleaner. And one tip that came up was like tidy people are always cleaning up after themselves. And for some reason, that thought had never occurred to me. And so I started to really think about that. And basically, like, if you use something, when you finish using it, you put it away. And it's so obvious, but when you're just not of that mindset, then it's not obvious, and it's kind of hard. So like you finish eating off of a plate, you would get up relatively right after that, rinse your plate off and put it in the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you would clean it right away. After you're cooking, you clean everything, you put everything away. So that was really hard to do at first. Even like, oh, I have like an empty water bottle or something, or oh, I'm reading my book. Yeah, like maybe my book can sit out on the coffee table for a few days if I'm like still reading it, but like if I'm finished reading it or I've moved on to something else for the moment, then I need to like find a better spot for the book. It doesn't need to like live on the coffee table. Same with like cords and stuff like that. So it's like once you're done with it, you go and like put it back where you got it from. And then also like the bigger stuff, which is like actual cleaning, like dusting and vacuuming and cleaning the floors and all that stuff. And even with that, like that has been a new change in my life because and this has all happened over several years. First it was I would be kind of messy until I couldn't stand it anymore, and then I'd clean everything, and then God, I never dusted. And then once I, would go to do those big cleans, it was like a layer of dust on everything. And it was just disgusting. And it was like, God, this is so gross. Like, I need to do this more often. And then you clean it and you forget about it. And then 6 months go on and you're like, oh shit, I need to do that again. But first I started with just kind of trying to be a tidier person. And then after I kind of got on that, then it's like you start noticing other little things. And so now I've gotten a schedule where I clean everything once a week. And so I could probably still be a little bit more anal if I wanted to, but for me, I think it's okay. But I realized after a week now, like I used to let the bathroom go for like 2-3 weeks sometimes. And by the week 3, I'm like disgusted with myself. I'm like, oh my God, this has to get clean, And then it's like a huge project. But even after a week now that I've gotten like in this routine, I'm like, oh my God, the bathroom is so gross already. And like your standards start to change as well. Anyways, not to go on about cleaning. But the point is like this was like years in the making, and it started with like subtle little changes. And they're hard changes. They are not easy changes. Like, I remember when I started trying to do the tidy up after yourself thing, I would be like, blah. I mean, even still, I'm like, blah, like, I gotta put this away. Like, but there's a difference because it's now more ingrained in me. So, like, if I don't put that thing away right away, like, it bothers me. So, it's like, it's just so much easier now and feels better if I just put that away right away. Whereas, like, before, I would just leave it. And then, like, maybe at the end of the day or something, I would notice it there and it may or may not get put away. But that's how, when you walk into somebody's home that looks like that, it's probably because they do little tricks like that. So if there's, like, little things like that that are in your life where, I do see a lot of housewives commenting about, oh man, I wish I had like a cleaner home. What kind of things do you guys do? Like, it could seriously be as simple as that, but you do have to change your mindset and be willing to put in the hard work for whatever that thing is that you're trying to do. These challenges that we give ourselves when we decide to do something that's hard and kind of go for it, I think is really important to our self-worth. I think that, biologically, we're built to live in stressful situations. We're built to be, constantly on the lookout for like food and shelter and running away from dangerous things or confronting dangerous things. So There's a lot of that in us, but in our wonderful, relaxed world that we live in today, we don't have those issues. We're not, necessarily desperately seeking food or shelter or running away from danger all the time. So I think that what we have to do to keep, a more positive outlook and to maintain, a healthy mind and body and all of that, I think it's really important to give ourselves these things that are hard because the challenge, it's part of our DNA to like want to do those sorts of things. Um, and now that it's like, it's more of a positive stress. It's not a negative stress. But it still, gives us something to sort of work towards. And I'm always talking about like finding meaning and creating value. Actually, I wanted to mention. I've mentioned his books before, but I'm mentioning them again today. Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and Everything is Fucked. I said, before, they're the unselfiest of self-help books. They're just really great advice and like some good ideas um, on, kind of confronting this whole idea. He talks a lot about, creating a value hierarchy, figuring out where your priorities stand, and then like doing things that are hard because it's going to be great for your self improvement. I realized the other day that I'm like, I don't know if I'm like getting to an age or if it's just a certain time in my life, but I'm starting to do things that like like I'm no longer ignoring what is good for my body because things are starting to hurt on my body. So I'm like, okay, like I need to really start implementing some like healthy and positive things because I'm hurting or I feel like crap. So I am like kind of pissed off that I have to do it though. So it's like it's so much more fun to like be lazy and eat and drink shitty and not work out and do all that stuff, right? But I guess I'm just like at a point now where like I can't ignore that. So it's like, okay, I really have to start shifting because I care. Like I want to live long and healthy as long as I can. And I realize there are certain things that you have to do to, hopefully prolong all of that. But at the same time, like it kind of pisses me off too. I'm like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, like we need these certain things in our lives to kind of keep us motivated and pushing us and just doing the hard stuff. Um, so my last point, kind of just wrapping it up, it's whatever it is that you want to do or that you think you might need to do for your life. Like, for me, working out, cleaning, cooking, creative stuff, these are things that I want to do, but also things that I have to do, or things that are, I'm doing because they're good for me, whatever. And the thing is like at some point, you just have to decide to do it. And I wish that there was some magic equation to help people get there, but there isn't. And I've talked to you guys kind of about that stuff before. You can go down the self help book route. You can, feel motivated for a while, but anybody that gives you any sort of plan or exercises to do, like, you can do stuff that, like, might help you think about where your hangups are. And I encourage a lot of that. Like, do self reflection because that's really where a lot of my stuff came from. Like, why don't I do certain things? Where is this coming from? Psychologically, we have a lot of like mental blocks on why we won't do things, right? And so I think about that stuff for myself all the time. Is it, a fear of success in any sort of way? And for me, for a long time, I always was like, no, I'm not afraid of being successful. But then I realized that there was actually other aspects of success that stood out to me that is something that I was afraid of. So there's so many different factors. So if you want to if there's something like next week, I'm talking about body positivity. I'm talking about this book that I read, and then it had like a workbook with it. And the workbook asks so many amazing questions that you have to sort of work through mentally. And I realized a lot about myself and like where a lot of my habits come from and how I can kind of change, like how I was able to change that. So sometimes it's not, you can read something, but if there isn't like a helpful exercise or something, it might not like work its way in. And so I think a lot of like times self help scenarios, they're not like giving you the right tools necessarily. They're just saying like, oh, this is what works for me. And so if you do these steps, you'll become successful too. But you probably won't. And so what really has to happen is some switch in your brain that goes, okay, I want to do this stuff now and I'm going to do it. And there is absolutely nothing really anybody can say or do. All the work has to be done by you. You need to figure out and get yourself to the place. And like, if you're sitting here being like, okay, yeah, I would love to cook more often. But then every single night, you might feel hyped up earlier in the day. You might go and do a big grocery shopping haul. And then throughout the week, you continue to put off meals, or, maybe you don't even get to that point, right? Maybe you just are like, oh, I would love to do that. And you look up a bunch of recipes and get super excited. But then when it actually comes to maybe doing the shopping, you kind of chicken out and go to your like go to easy stuff, or you're like, we're just gonna do frozen pizzas again, which is not a problem if that's what your life is and you don't care about cooking, and that's totally fine, right? But if it's something that you want, a skill that you want to develop, and then you continue to put it off, it's like, ask yourself, like, why do I continue to put this off? It seems like something that I would really be interested in. It's something that I really want to try and at least see if I'm good at. Sometimes we can try stuff and we realize, like, wow, I'm not great at this, and it's not enjoyable either. Sometimes we can do stuff and we're not great at it, but it's still a lot of fun. And so we keep, trying and putting our effort into it. So there's just little things like if you're someone who doesn't like working out, which working out's a hard one, right? Because we just know it's really good for us. And we know that like, a lot of people want to do it so that they're in like nice physical shape. And it's like, go and try a bunch of different things. You only need a half hour's worth of exercise every day. So go for a walk. And if, walking isn't your thing, maybe try a Zumba class. If that's not your thing, try yoga. If that's not your thing, like just keep trying things until you finally find something that is like halfway interesting to you, that you enjoy. If you're going and you're trying all these different workouts and like nothing is satisfying you, then that might be the point in your life where you got to just figure out something, because you realize that exercise is important. But the bottom line is like, sometimes it is also good for us to do stuff that we don't like. So for me, cleaning my house and cooking when I don't want to and working out and all those things, like those aren't always necessarily fun for me, but they're very rewarding when I do them. So, I like coming into a clean home. I like it when I make a really nice, healthy, nutritious, delicious meal. I feel great after a workout. This week like I was saying, like I've been trying to cut out caffeine, and like I really enjoy coffee. So now it's like, okay, that's not something that I'm going to be drinking on a regular basis anymore. Like even when we take something away and are trying to incorporate new habits, like that stuff can be really difficult and hard. So, but the point is that it's necessary. Like we need to have hard things in our life. we need to struggle sometimes. We need to feel pushed in those scenarios, and we just need to be okay with doing hard things. I think we see so many things that are trying to sell to us, like, this is so easy, this made my life easier. One of those things, like, not to continue to talk about cooking, but like, there always seems to be some new gadget for like peeling potatoes or like, like just some stupid thing that's going to make it so much easier in the kitchen. And I swear, all that stuff is so freaking hard to clean. Like, okay, sure, I can stick this, like, my egg in this thing and it'll cut it perfectly. Great. Now I gotta freaking clean this thing. Like, okay, that was fucking annoying. Like, it has all these little parts and stuff. It's like, no, I don't want that. Like, it is actually making it harder. Like, I'll just cut the fucking egg. So, there's just like, we're constantly being sold that this should be easy. And you're constantly hearing people being like, it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't. No, anything that's worth having should be hard. It's going to be hard. And the thing that we need to change our mindset on is that we need to embrace the fact that things are hard. We need to embrace the challenge. We need to, embrace all of those feelings and handling ourselves in those feelings. I think we're just, we're very emotional people. And I mean, I myself, I'm so emotional when it comes to all of my choices. And most of the time I have to say, this isn't an emotional choice right now. You need to get up and work out. It doesn't matter how you feel. Like, unless like you feel like, physically I can't do this today, that's one thing. But like, if I'm just in my head, like, I don't feel like working out today, like, no, that's not a valid feeling. Like, you need to work out. It's going to be good for you. Or, I don't feel like cooking today. Okay, well, you just spent a shit ton of money on groceries and like, you have meals to make. Like, what else do you want? Like, oh, I want something more comforting. This meal, it was too healthy. I want something more comforting. No, those are emotional responses. Once I eat and I'm satisfied, then that emotional feeling goes away. Same with my writing. I pretty much everything everything I freaking do. And I hope you guys can relate to this. It's just like, oh, feeling. I'm constantly trying to just be comfortable. And it's like, no, nothing happens when you're comfortable. No, you just stay static. You don't have any growth. And I guess if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I'm guessing if you're listening or watching this podcast, you're looking for more in your life and you want more for your life. So, our marriages, our friendships, our relationships with our family, all of that, like, it's going to be hard. And it's actively every single day waking up and committing to that, committing to being uncomfortable and just working through it. So I wanted to talk about that today because I just feel like, our society, we want everything easy, and easy can be fun sometimes, but easy is not rewarding. Easy does not make healthy people. It just makes lazy people. It makes people that don't go anywhere. There's no evolution. There's, nothing. So, anyways, if you are like me and trying to implement this positive changes in your life, and you get a little emotional about the fact that things are hard, realize, just, you have to, and I wish there was just something that I could tell you guys to just be like, this is what I do. But I mean, other than, I just tell myself, you're being emotional right now. You have to stop being emotional and, just do it. And that's what I do. But to get to this point, I've done a lot of self-reflection. I've done a lot of work on figuring out where my hang-ups are. And I'm still working on it because there are still things that, I wish I had more discipline in that I don't. And so I'm still trying to figure all of that out. I still procrastinate like hell. So it's getting better. I have good weeks and bad weeks, but it's I'm at a loss. I don't understand it at all, other than the fact that I continue when I give into it, it kind of just helps like manifest that feeling even more. So it's like the more I'm like on top of things, and consistency is key in all of this, is just creating a consistent schedule, which is, it's just a hard concept to like really commit to. So, but it's good for us. All of this, and even just trying to figure it out, right? Like all of that's really positive, and it's just great for us to go through those sorts of things. So, anyways, if you guys, again, have been enjoying these episodes, I really hope that you will share with friends. Next week, we are going to be talking about body positivity, and we're going to be talking about it in a philosophical way. You know, there's a lot of morals, for whatever reason, surrounded in the fitness industry, and equated with like, oh, you're skinny, you eat better, like you eat better than me, you're a better person than I am. And all of that stuff is just nonsense. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and where that comes from. And I'm going to share my experience with reading the book Intuitive Eating. And I've been wanting to talk about this for a really long time, so I'm excited for that episode. But yeah, so please subscribe, comment, share. Again, go to the description and check out the link. You can go to my website, sign up for the monthly newsletter, and there's a blog there. You can check out Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the fun stuff. All right. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and cheers. I'll see you soon.